Let me get this off. And hello, Mark.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, I hear you great.
Okay, because my volume isn't up very good. So I just wanted to make sure. Did you have a good day?
It's been a good day. Other than this temperature drop that we had after lunch,
Oh, that
that's
was
kind of a rude
terrible.
awakening.
I
Stepped
had
out of
on
the
a,
top at 3:30 and about blew away and froze to death all at the same time. So
yeah, I had on a t-shirt and a little hoodie and not even a sweatshirt, just a little zip up thin jacket this morning. And I left work and it was awful. It was
yeah,
so cold. My poor puppy
big
don't even,
change.
yeah, my poor puppy don't even want to go outside when it's this cold. And
Yeah,
I don't like taking her out.
yeah. I was gonna say that's the bad part when you got to take them out. We got our older dogs that way. We've been having to take her out because she's going blind, and I'll tell you, boy, it's a rude awakening when you go
And
outside right now.
yeah, exactly. Hello, Broken Justice. Yeah, I was only 1 minute late. I figured it would be just a few more minutes because I wanted to talk to Mark on it. So we're going to wait just a few minutes for people to come in. I know there's other people that are coming,
Good.
and
I never do see how many people are on here. I see the comments, but half time I have a hard time keeping track of them sometimes.
oh, you and me both. You and me, but I'm good at talking. I just can't read the comments at the same time. I'm actually getting better. I seen that. You texted me that. That's terrible. Somebody struck her for no reason. She'll get it back. Tell her to, you know, why do people, they're so mean. It just makes me, it's so frustrating. They're so petty. They
Yeah.
go after people's livelihood and it's just sad.
Well, I mean, it's the sad part of, I listened to your one the other day. They're talking about different stuff that I don't even know who's
Yeah.
who or anything else. But I guess one thing I've just learned with all this, you know, social media, everything anymore. You
Yeah.
know, people can be so judgmental when they're sitting behind a screen somewhere. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, there's some tough
Yeah,
bad girls or bad boys behind a screen.
oh yeah.
I've been,
Keyboard warriors. That's what I always call them. They're keyboard warriors. They can type it and text it and put it all out there, but they probably wouldn't say nothing to you if they were standing in front of you.
and the funny thing is they make fun of my looks, but they have never cammed up in front of their camera.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like,
everybody's got something that they, yeah.
it
It just
is what it is. I actually pray for these kind of people because I couldn't imagine being that miserable all day, every day, sitting in front of a computer screaming at people.
right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's since we started doing these and stuff. When I'm out working, blading and stuff, I've got to where I listen to different ones, and it's really interesting. But at the same time, it's like some of the most, you know, drama I've ever seen. It's like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mark. How are you? Thank you for being here. Mark Klein's in the
yeah,
chat.
there,
Mark
yeah,
Milligan.
yeah, I see him there. Cool.
Yep. Oh, you can see it. You
Yep, I
don't.
can see the chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't know. Like sometimes it'll say how many people are watching. All that.
Yeah.
I can see some of that.
Oh, Andrea, mom, her channel got taken down too. Oh my gosh. People are after others, I guess.
Yeah, well, they ain't got nothing better to do.
But
you know.
I guess we can go ahead and, start. People will be coming in. I imagine there's quite a few upset people. The first thing I do want to say, and I want to make sure this is clear before Mark and me even get started. We are doing this to bring Harry home. We encourage thoughtful discussion on here, but we ask that all comments remain civilized and constructive. No personal attacks or accusations. So I'm asking you, everybody, to please be respectful of others and remember that they have family and family watches this. They visit the Facebook page, which I've got pinned up at the top, Harry's Facebook page, and I hope everybody goes and request to be added and go through everything. Mark is really good about putting everything out there. Also on my community post, I've got Harry's Venmo and Harry's PayPal. All you have to do is, hold your phone up to it and click it, and it'll bring you right to there. And people that want to donate, I don't care if it's 50 cents, whatever, every little bit counts. Anybody that wants to donate that does not have like the smartphones or doesn't know a whole lot about technology, you can always contact me. Hey, Amanda, you can contact me. You can contact somebody. Mark Klein knows how to get a hold of me. Broken Justice, Amanda. If you want to donate and don't know how to use the Venmo or PayPal. And then also any information, if you like to provide any information, any sensitive details, you can always contact Monroe County Sheriff or Mark directly. If you don't know how to get a hold of Mark, you can contact me and you can go straight to him. Any information like that, I want it to go to Mark and Monroe County Sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, it's, that's the whole thing. That's what we're trying to accomplish by doing what we're doing now. We've been, I mean, with all this social media, we've been at it for 2 years now, and like I said, I kind of did a big reset here a while back. The big thing now is it's not pointing fingers. It's not doing anything. I mean, I don't want any of it to come across that way. It's about sharing what is known, through what was gathered by the police back in 1984, and up through the years, trying to put it all out there so that, a lot of people know the story and a lot of people don't know the story. This group's up to, what's it up to? 2,000, 3,000 people now. I'd have to look right away.
Oh yeah.
There's so many people that have joined, from different places and different things. It's about getting it all out there so that everybody can look at it and everybody can form your own opinion. Don't just listen to me. Form your own opinion. If you got questions, ask the questions. If you see something that, maybe me and Allison don't talk about, that stands out to you that maybe we're not seeing, it's about finding answers. It's not pointing fingers. It's just saying, okay, here's the information that we have. Some limited, some better than others, but it's all about looking at all that information, putting it out there and seeing, keeping people talking about it and letting them form their own opinions. And if something may trigger one little thing, that somebody says, hey, wait a minute, I know this or I know that, or, on the other hand, with, like I say, a lot of the new people that, have joined the group over time, resources, I'm always open for resources, of a new way to look at things, or a private investigator, a criminal profiler, I don't know, I mean, there's so many things out there, that somebody might have a resource or know somebody that knows somebody, that they can put in touch with me, that might help. I mean, it's not a matter of accusations or anything like that. It's just a matter of sharing information and trying to figure out an answer, some type of answer to what we do know.
Yeah. I was talking to one of your administrators on the Facebook page today, and, we were talking. I love that you say a reset. Hold on just 1 second. My daughter's got to give me some. Thank you. Because that's what we have to do. We're going to have to go back to 1984. And with what limited information we have, And we've looked at this case file. I know you and Lori have looked at it for 39 years.
Yeah.
Me, I've had it for what? I don't know, off and on for about a year. And there's something that we're missing. I feel it. And that was why I said we need to start bringing everything up onto screen. So, because there's somebody in the chat that is going to say, hey, this does not look right.
Right.
Just like Danny Hollenrake's, the VCR,
Right.
somebody thought, well, maybe that's initials.
Right.
Because why would he be going to his friend's house in Des Moines with VCR? I mean,
Right.
so I mean, it could be, it's going to take the littlest thing. And Chaos Divers did that video the other day. That
if you guys haven't seen that, you need to go watch it.
I'm going to put their link in the chat, because
I mean, these guys didn't know me for Adam. They don't know my family.
But now they are family.
They are family now, but they got involved, and just watching that video alone, some of the best parts of the whole thing are just the voice, the interviews, the talking with them, or them talking amongst themselves about the cooperation and how people have cooperated and tried to help, and they're trying to help. I mean, it's just, and it shows you how hard they've worked for I mean, they're doing this all over the country, let alone here looking for Harry, just how hard these people are working to try to help find an answer, and it's,
and how many people
in their case, it's a process of elimination type of thing. Start with rumors and go from there.
How many people have they found as of now?
Oh, geez. I think the last I knew it was 13 or 14.
Yeah.
In like a 9-month period. Yeah. I know right now they're down in Missouri doing something that they normally don't really do, because normally what they're looking for is vehicles. But there was a guy, and if you ain't followed the case, there's a guy that was doing I don't know what they call it. It's like the hang gliding, except it's got the little motor on the back, I mean, it's one of them. I can't remember what they call that exactly, right off the top of my head, but he was out doing that. He was an experienced guy at doing it. For some reason, either had a malfunction or whatever, and went down in the river down there. I mean, witnesses saw this guy go into the river, his phone pinged in the river, and they still can't find him at this point. They're down there diving, they're down there looking and diving and doing everything they can, to find a body, and maybe this apparatus that could be still attached to him or whatever, I mean, so they just do amazing things, and that's something they don't normally do, but because of, the family reaching out for what, seeing what they do, they went there, and then that's where they've been. I know all this week, down there looking for that guy. So, and it's the same thing that they've done here. It's a process of elimination, I mean, there was a lot of different rumors and different things. And then, of course, there's bodies of water around here and different things. So, just because myself personally, if I say, well, this is a place of interest or that's a place of interest, it ain't necessarily pointing a finger at anybody. It's just saying, hey, this is something that's come up, or it's on a route that Harry could have traveled, just like right now, you talk about resources, and doing what we're doing for resources. Even, I'm the only one who really even knows about it. I have a guy that's an expert, and I'm not going to say who he is or anything he's associated with or anything else, but he's actually working with me on trying to figure out, okay, what his expertise is probability, making probability maps of what are the most highly likeliest places to look for Harry, as far as just based on friends, family, everyday locations. That's why piecing together and looking at all this stuff from 1984 is very important, because, Harry was back here and we're all creatures of habit. We all have certain routines. We have certain friends we visit more than others, or we have certain places we go more than others. So, I mean, this guy's helping me try to put something together in that lines to say, okay, 20 years ago, this is where Harry was. 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 20 has this body of water, or is this creek bed, or is this particular spot been searched? Because uh, there's the probability shows he could have went this way, or he went this way before umpteen many times, you know. Um, who's to say he didn't do that at 4:30 in the morning, So that's why I say by the resources and just looking at everything and trying to get it out there that, you know, if you know the littlest or have the littlest idea, no idea is stupid. I mean, my phone is full of messages after messages after messages of people, you know, listening to these conversations, looking at the things we put up on there, listening to other, podcasts and interviews and things like that, and coming up with other suggestions. What have you ever thought about this or thought about that or looked here or looked there? That's the whole ideal of what we're trying to do right now is just put out what we know, not point any fingers or do anything like that. And when I say reset, take the emotion out of it. Yeah. When I was 18 years old and I came back here out of the Marine Corps and didn't know where my brother was at, there was a lot of emotion, and it was a whole different person than I am now, looking for my brother then versus looking for him now. I mean, so and looking at the information we have, so you have to take the emotion out of it and just look at what you know and see where that takes you. Did I lose you? Or am I talking? Hello?
Shoot, I was muted.
Okay. I was like,
Anyways,
okay, she left me.
No, I mean, anybody that has any kind of soul, you look at Harry's face, you look at what happened, and if this was my family member, and he's not, I never knew Harry. I didn't know you until you guys came into the store, but you told me that story, Harry's story, and I couldn't get him out of my mind. That's all I did was think about him and just thinking about everything that you guys have been through, your mom and dad.
And there's 50 million different theories. And all of them are based on what is either, created or come out of that police case file, or they've just created by rumor, by somebody talking about something or hearing of something at some point and going, hey, wait a minute, I know this, or I think I know this, or I think I know that. And that's kind of where we've got to now. So, I mean, there's 15 million different stories. I mean, there's people, as little as a couple of weeks ago, I'm talking to that truly and honestly believe Harry's still alive. And is that a possibility? Yeah, I guess it is. I just don't believe that's the most likely, thing at this point. But everybody's got a right to think what they want to think, and that's all we're asking is everybody look at things, think about them, look what's here. And, if you know something or you think something or you have an idea, reaching out, reach out to me, send me a messenger. You can, if you've got my cell phone number, or you want to text or you want to call me, there's been a lot of people that'll reach out. Hey, can you talk? I'll send them my cell phone number and we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about. It's, it's not, trying to, point fingers. It's not anything. It's looking at what, what facts we have, and it's, sometimes, police officer for 21 years. I mean, one of the biggest things that, I look at now is, whenever somebody tells me something, it's just, you want to believe it's true, but you also at the same time have to think, is it a rumor? Is it, somebody that just don't like me, I mean, because it's not about me. A lot of people don't like me. 21 years as an officer. There's going to be a lot of people don't like me. I had to do a job that, most people don't want to do. And, I don't deal with people at their finest moment in the world. So, that's the whole thing that's got to, that I'd like to see, go away is the fact that, whether you like me or you don't like me, you know, that's between me and you. That has nothing to do with Harry, has nothing to do with finding the answers to Harry. So um, that's, one of the things too, sometimes you get some of them people that'll say some things or whatever that, I think sometimes they're just trying to get under my skin. And if you don't know me, you can ask my wife. You don't get under my skin very well. I mean, it's I know I've learned in 21 years that you know if
You
you're
are
not,
pretty dang laid back. I can
you know,
vouch
I,
for that.
I mean, well, I don't take none of it serious. I mean, when it comes to that stuff, because I have my friends and my family and the people that I associate with, and yeah, if you want to be friends, we can be friends. But I take everything with a grain of salt. I
Are
mean,
you my friend, Mark? Are you my friend?
yeah, yeah, I'd say we're friends. You've done a lot. You and Jim have done a ton for Lori and I and Harry. So I mean,
And
that's
I'm going to continue to
yeah,
do whatever I have to. And like, I agree, it's not about pointing fingers. It's to me, if Harry was still alive, like some people, suspect, then there wouldn't be several different stories with the last people that he was claimed to be with.
right. And I guess the thing that just always has bugged me with that is, you know, if you're gonna go off and start a whole, you want to basically erase everything and start a whole new life. I just don't see you doing it at between 4:30 and 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday night. You know what I mean?
Especially
After you've been
leaving.
out with your friends and doing whatever and all
Yeah,
that stuff. I just I think easy case scenario for him would have been is, hey, I'm going to work on Monday morning and I got my car and I take off at 6 in the morning to go to work or whatever and just take off. I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. I just that's
Well,
the one scenario I just don't buy. Because I just know, whether the relationship me and Harry had, or him and my mom had, or him and my cousins or other family member or whatever. Um, I just know he would never do that to my dad.
that's what I was just getting ready to say. Him
That
and
just
Leonard.
that's just a no brainer that anybody that knows my dad or knows him knows that that was that was his world, and that would have never happened. I mean,
And
so
not to mention your
not
sister.
for 40 years. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
your sister's was diagnosed with cancer. She passed away 30 days later
yeah, oh,
after Harry
exactly,
came up.
yeah.
He
I mean, so I just don't see that happening. I mean, you talk to, like my cousins, we spent every summer together, either here, in Avery or over in Creston and different things like that. We were together all the time, and I don't think any of them would ever, in a million years, think that Harry just up and left. I mean, I just, I don't think we've all been in those shoes. I mean, I was there, when I left and went in the Marine Corps and everything else. Yeah, it was part of that. I got to get away from home. I don't want nobody telling me what to do anymore, and I'm going to live by my own rules and do all that stuff. And I think we all went through that at anywhere from 18 to 24, 25 years old, when you finally
Oh
wake up
yeah.
and go, wait a minute. The only thing that's real in my life right now is I know I can always go home to my mom and dad, no matter how shitty life gets.
Yeah. We can, what's really crazy is since you started Harry's Facebook page and, I've started my channel, you got to admit it's getting a lot of people talking.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
there's
what it's all about. That's what the signs are all about.
exactly.
That's what, doing what we're doing right now is all about. That's what, a lot of all the other, podcasts or YouTube stuff that I've done. It's about getting Harry's story out, keeping Harry alive. I guess in everybody's book, or whatever, and seeing if it hits that one person that maybe knows something, or something I say tonight, or something you say tonight, or whoever. says something that triggers something in somebody that maybe does know, to say, you know what, this just ain't right. I've lived with this long enough and I don't want to live with it no more. And I got to say this, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know how it is, you know as well as I know.
Yep.
It seems like
I
every time we do this, or every time, I post something, or somebody comments or says something, or does this, it triggers something. There's people that's came to you,
Yes.
and said, "Hey, I know this."
Yep.
At the same time, just in the last week,
Yep.
I've got a phone call. Hey, I got to tell you this. I mean, I heard this. I believe it to be true. I can't live with myself if I don't tell you. And here you go. And they tell me. I
Yep.
mean, so you never know when one of those phone calls or one of those pieces of information is going to be that one thing that you know leads to finding Harry. I mean, just as simple as that.
Yep. Exactly. Well, this is explain what this is up on the screen, Mark.
Basically, what you got here is in in '84 when Harry came up missing on July 1st. Um, my mom had checked with some of his friends. I think Doug Matty and Jeff Adler was two of the main ones that she had called, because she knew that was friends that he hung around with. This here, from the way I take it from the police report, looks like an officer. I'm guessing maybe the sheriff at the time, Denny Carr, went and on the third, went and talked to Jeff Adler and took notes of what their conversation consisted of. And
Yep.
this is basically that, those notes from that conversation.
Well, I will go ahead and read it. This is July 3rd, 1984, April 4:28 p.m. Jeff Adler. He says, didn't see Harry until after 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. He was alone with Jeff and Steve. First saw talking about softball. Nothing out of the ordinary. Might been later than 3:30. Steve Rockwell later. Doesn't know where Harry earlier. Car has sunroof and fancy wheels. Honeycomb. Two, oh my gosh, two-tone, different colors of maroon. No hat on that night. Hair Marine Corps shirt. What does that mean? Hair Marine.
Hair, I think but his hair was Marine Corps style. I think is what that
Short.
is, or
Okay, yeah,
Marine Corps
short.
sport, like
Yep.
like shaved
Yep.
head, pretty much almost.
Okay, his hair Marine Corps short. His friends has friends in Unionville. Check with Denny Hollenrake, former roommate at North Missouri State University. Okay, so that was the very first little notes that they took from him, right?
Yeah, from my understanding, yes.
Okay, now we're going to bring this up. Okay, so this is, explain what this is.
What this is another interview done by Denny Carr. 10 years, I don't know what the date was. I think it's
March 5th, 1994.
March 5th of 94. And it's just a follow up interview. When Denny Carr was a private investigator, at some point it looks like he reached out to Jeff to, get a follow up statement of, what happened that night.
Okay. Hey, Case, how are you? Thanks for being here. Okay, so we're going to read this out. At approximately 12:30 p.m. Saturday, March 5th, 1994, I interviewed Jeff Adler about the disappearance of Harry Milligan, which occurred on or about July 1st, 1984. The interview was conducted at Adler's home located, blah, 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 Adler said that his memory of the events of the evening, which ended with Harry Milligan's disappearance, are limited. He said he recalls that he, Doug Mattey, Steve Rockwell, and Harry were together, but he cannot recall exactly what they did during the evening. Adler said he recalls that the next day after he last saw Milligan, a slow pitch softball tournament was scheduled. Adler said he and Milligan were on the same team, and Milligan did not show up for the tournament. Later that day, either Saturday or Sunday, Milligan's mom called Adler to see if he knew where Milligan was. Adler cannot recall the date Milligan disappeared. Adler said he recalls that he and Milligan parted where one of their cars was parked along the east side of North 2nd Street in Albia, adjacent to the Albia Public Library. And I'm going to pull up a map, you guys, and we'll go over where Harry was supposed to have been parked that night. Adler said that he cannot recall from which direction he and Milligan approached the location, nor can he recall with the certainty whose car they were in, his or Milligan's. However, Adler said he feels that they were last together in Milligan's car. Adler said he left the parking lot area, or the parking area, northbound on North 2nd Street. A block north, Adler said he turned west onto A Avenue East and drove west on Block 2A Avenue's intersection with North Main Street. Adler said he turned and headed south on North Main Street. Adler said that between the intersection of Benton Avenue East and A Avenue East, he met Milligan's car, which was headed north on North Main Street. Adler said it was late in the evening. Adler said he cannot recall the time exactly, but feels he last saw Milligan after midnight, maybe around 2 a.m. Adler said he has no idea what happened to Milligan. He said he cannot recall of any enemies Milligan may have had. Adler said Milligan had never given him any inkling that he was planning on taking off. Adler said Milligan was very devoted to the Marines. He said he could not see Milligan going AWOL from the Marine Corps, of which he was a reserve member. Adler said he cannot recall any problems Milligan had with anyone during the evening preceding his disappearance. Adler said he, Maddie, and Milligan and Denny Hollenrake usually ran around together. However, on the evening which preceded Milligan's disappearance, Hollenrake was not with them. Rather, Rockwell was. Adler said Milligan liked to party and drink like everybody else, but he didn't feel Milligan was regularly a heavy drinker. Adler said as best he can recall Milligan's car, which was a mid-70s, I can't see,
mid-70s model, yeah.
Maroon Pontiac Grand Prix. Adler said Milligan's, I don't know, let me see if I can pull the rest of that up. Hold on a minute. I don't know if I have the rest of it here. Okay. Adler said Milligan's car had opera windows in the area between its doors and back window. So that is what that says. Maybe next time we can, okay, hold on here. I got to get, maybe next time we can go over which way everybody said that they can.
I've got some maps that we've done up over time that we can put up, and like I said, I meant to do this before and haven't really got to it, but I will.
Well, I can bring up I'm going to bring up
I'll
Google.
put all the statements up together, so
Yes.
that people can compare back and forth rather than, hear one now and think, okay, what was said before. I
Yes.
mean, I guess to me, like you say, with the statements there from 1984 to 1994, um, you know, compared to the overall statements of all of them. There's a lot of inconsistencies. I
Yes.
mean, just plain and simple. I mean, it's not pointing fingers. It's and I don't know why, but there's just so many inconsistencies that I mean, as late as what's it been 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I sat down with Steve Rockwell.
Yeah.
Um, and great conversation. Steve's a great guy,
Yes,
um,
he is.
but there's still the inconsistencies of clearly there in that statement. Jeff says that he got out of Harry's car,
Yep.
and Jeff, I mean Steve, even 2 weeks ago says no, they got out of my car. And the whole process of dropping Harry off at his car has changed again. So I mean, it's I get things, but um, that's where I say it's all about just trying to sort out what's the fact, what's not the facts. I mean,
Yeah.
who was with them, who wasn't with them. Uh, you know, uh, we went through Doug Mattey's statement, in one of the last videos, and I'll put them all up there. I mean, Doug clearly states that he was with them when they dropped Harry off, and he was the last one out of the car.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, Steve Rockwell says, "No way." He wasn't. He wasn't. He was barely even with us that night, and it was way earlier. And he wasn't with us. The only two people that were there when Harry got dropped off in his car was him and Jeff and Harry. So I mean, it's just those type of things that, like I said, it's trying to sort out, the it's back to what's the old Dragnet show or whatever, just the facts, ma'am. I mean, it's trying to figure out what are the facts, and you know where can we go from there? Because the only way to piece together what happened to Harry is to piece together the entire night, or maybe even the whole week before. I don't know. I mean,
Yep.
typically as an investigator, that's normally with crimes of something like this. That's the first thing you do. Is see how far you can go back and piece things together right up to the moment, of a crime or of a disappearance or a, whatever it is,
Yep.
and um, it's just like, there's a lot of reference, in statements about the softball game the next day. Um, I want to know, and I mean, that's back to maybe getting to the right people, getting to the right thing. I mean, I learned, last week in conversation of maybe some more people that were on Harry's softball team, or, I'm not just looking for the people involved on Harry's softball team. I'm looking for anybody that played softball in Albia in 1984 that would remember that weekend, that tournament, when the games were played, who was on what teams, some of that stuff, because that may help piece some things together. I want to know, that morning when Harry didn't show up, who were the people that were there, that were set, ready to go, saying, "Hey, all we're waiting on is Harry to show up with the balls and the bat, the bag with the balls and the bats, and let's play some softball." And they don't show up. I want to know those people, to know,
Yes.
you know, just to put a timeline together. I want to know, one, how did they know about that they had an early game that day? Simple questions like that. It's not, you're not guilty of anything. You're not, being accused of anything. It's just a matter of trying to put together a timeline. I mean, Lori and I, we sit here probably on a daily basis and watch crime shows,
Yeah.
and true crime stuff, and I mean that's just something that we're into. Both of us being in law enforcement, but that's something that we do, and that's one of the biggest things is just piecing together. I mean, I watched a case here a while back. I couldn't believe a gal had been working on trying to solve a crime that happened in her community. She was like a reporter or something, and she was working on a crime for 20 plus years trying to figure out what had happened. And then all of a sudden, one day, her best friend that she's been around, thousands and thousands of times goes, "Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I can tell you this." And that's what ended up solving everything. It's like,
Well, and
when
that's,
you don't think to say that, I mean, but that's what I'm asking. I'm not
yeah.
trying to point fingers. I'm not trying to throw
No, but
to a story of a big conspiracy or anything else.
oh,
It's
heck
just
no.
together, putting in details, so that you can say, I know Harry was here. I know he was here. I know he talked to this person,
Yeah.
and trying to say, okay, here's what's going on because, I mean, there's conflicting stories of on that Saturday, before he came up missing. Was there a softball game or was there not a softball game? Was the tournament going on Saturday or not? Because, at one moment of the timeline, you have Harry painting the house for Steve Maddie, and people
Yeah.
saying I saw him painting the house, and finishing up for Steve Maddie. Well, other people say no, we played softball that day, and that's how I learned of the game on Sunday morning that was early and rescheduled. So, how did they do both? I mean, did he play softball in the morning, go paint in the afternoon? I mean, is it just a matter of maybe somebody having a weekend mixed up or something,
Yeah.
something wrong? I mean, I've looked at articles from the newspaper that, from back then, and I mean, it's hard to figure out, was there a softball game the day before? Was there not a softball game the day before? And
Hey, Mark.
yeah,
Mark Klein wants to know, has any one of Harry's friends taken a lie detector's test?
no, absolutely not. Not that I'm aware of, at least. I mean, like I say, I'm not, completely privy to everything law enforcement has done since this has kind of been brought back up. I don't believe there's been any that's been done. I would say this right now, wholeheartedly. I don't know what they cost law enforcement to do, to have. I know it's a guy, normally we took him for law enforcement. We had to take him to, I've took, I don't know, two or three of them now. I took, one for Albia, one for Atumwa. I think I took another one down there at one point, maybe. I don't remember what it was for exactly, but it's a guy comes down, got a machine, sets it up, asks you, normally it's like 5 or 6 questions, pretty direct questions, and
Boy, if I was in the middle of a situation like this and one of my friends came up missing and I was the last person to see him or her, I would be marching my butt to the law center and demanding a polygraph be taken.
yeah. Oh yeah,
For my own, I would,
to get yourself out of the whole,
yeah,
maybe
I
get
don't
yourself
want
out of the whole
people,
chaos.
yeah, I would not want people even thinking I was involved in anything like that.
And I would say at this point, and some people might disagree with me or not. I know today, Lori, let's see here. Let me look real quick. Lori gathered up our donation boxes and stuff because I don't want to have
Yeah,
them.
when I got into the store, I asked Papa Joe, I go, all his money's gone.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Lori,
but
we left the one at your shop is the only one we left out right now. I had them all collected up. We had them at Super Value. Thanks, Jim and Charlie. We had them at Nick's.
why
We had
did
them
you
at
take
Down
them?
Home, I mainly just over Christmas.
Oh,
I know money's tight. People,
Mark,
the
you
price
guys
of
are
everything is
just,
going through the roof. I don't want to be asking for money when people got a lot of stuff going on right now. So we
but
picked
Mark,
everything up. She deposited everything, and right now we're at we're $13 short of $27,000.
I've
So
got to say something here on that. You and Lori, you guys are so quick to judge yourselves on.
yeah,
I mean, you guys think when somebody puts $1 in that container, you're worried that they're going to run short, that they're not going to have $1 for a loaf of bread or something.
well,
And maybe it's just me, but I see more people wanting to give, at least at my store, because his pictures there. There's still, we have a lot of out of towners coming,
Right, and
and
that's kind of why we left the one there because you have the T-shirts
yep, we give
and
the
all the stuff there. I mean, so we left that one there. We just picked up the other ones for right now. We'll probably, you know, after the new year, look at putting them back out, maybe some other different locations, but we're at almost $27,000.
that's
If there's
amazing.
if there's somebody involved in Harry's case, at any level, I don't, I mean, and it's not accusing anybody or anything else. I have no problem, if there's money in that account that would pay to have lie detector tests given, I'd spend it on that in a heartbeat. That's what it's there for. It's there for things like that. It's there for a reward if somebody wants to come forward, but it's also there that if somebody willingly and wants to take a lie detector test, get with Monroe County. I'll get with the sheriff's department. We'll find out exactly what it would cost to have somebody come down and do them, or maybe you go to Des Moines or wherever they got to do them at. I mean, they do them. Sometimes they come here. Sometimes they do them
Yep.
up there. I know that. I think that's a perfect use for the fund.
Absolutely. If they
I
can
mean,
exonerate themselves,
I
why
mean,
not?
that's just one more answer to things.
Mark, hold on just one second. Jay Happy Girl says, so is there a timeline written down, even for the two different conflicting stories, maybe doing a mapping of events to help with the timeline? What definitive information do you have?
I do have a timeline. I can share that on the page too. I think it was up on the old page at one time.
I was going to say it was on the old page. I think I've gotten it somewhere too.
I can add, give me just a little bit. I'll try to add what fits into that timeline now. I ain't going to say whether it's absolute truth or accurate or whatever, but at least what I have been told, as far as the timeline, add that to it and get it up so everybody can look at it, because
maybe
I do think there's some parts of that timeline that are absolute, just by the people giving the information, like say Darwin Thomas, everybody kind of knows Darwin's story. He saw Harry at one point, 10:20 at night when he was getting ready to go to work at the hospital. Harry asked him, hey, you want to go party? And Darwin said, no, I can't. He said, I got to go to work. I've done it before, but I can't tonight. I got to go to work, and he left and went to work, and Harry went on. So, I mean, there's certain things that I think I have some absolutes on. I know he was here at this point and talking to this person, or here at that point.
Yes.
It's just other things. Like I said, it's like the softball thing. Was there a softball game on Saturday, or was there not? I mean, it just, little things like that make a huge difference when you're looking at the overall picture, to try to narrow things down and go from there. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a party, at a house right there. Oh, I know if you're looking at this picture and see the library.
Right here's the library, guys.
So it'd have been where that big tree is, that empty lot right there. Here. Used to set an apartment house right there. It didn't take up the whole lot. It was up toward the front of the lot, toward the main street there. There was a party there that, some kind of party going on or something going on.
Harry's car was parked right here somewhere, they say.
Yeah, and Harry was there that night earlier in the evening. Was out in front of there earlier in the evening by his car, and supposedly Jeff Adler and Doug Matty was there with Harry, So I mean, I believe that to be true. I mean, I don't know why. People that gave me the information got no reason to, like I said, they're not being accused of anything. And I'm not accusing nobody of anything. I'm just saying that was information that I didn't know for a long time.
Yes.
And then if you put that story together with another story of Kelly Wilkins and saying, hey, I was at a party at this place and heard, the next day and heard this story, so I mean, it kind of starts, it pieces more of the puzzle together, I mean,
and maybe the next video we can put up the timeline.
Sure. Exactly. Yep.
Jay, happy girl, have you requested for Harry's Facebook page? I've actually got it pinned at the top. So if you want to go in, if you haven't already, Mark or Lori or one of the administrators will get you added as soon as they get a chance.
Yep. Oh yeah. So,
Mark puts up
and that's the
everything.
one thing. Yeah. No, that's one thing I can say is, friends of friends of friends. I mean, it's all about resources. So if you got a friends list, and if they're like Allison or like me, or and they're into true crime and looking at some of these things and the different cases, invite them to the group. If they get,
Yes.
we'll let them
Well,
in. They can look around. They may see something too and have an
you
idea.
know,
I mean,
there's actually, when you were talking about you guys like true crime, I mean, this community has thousands and thousands and thousands of wannabe private detectives.
right.
And then there's also retired FBI agents, there's retired law enforcement, retired. It's going to take that one person that's retired, that has nothing to do, to say, I want to look at Harry Milligan's case.
Right.
And that's all I've ever asked for, is for, if you know what you're doing and this is what you've done, reach out to Mark, go to the Facebook page.
I'm all about getting
I
all the
mean,
help I
I
can get.
know that there's actually lawyers on the Facebook page
Yeah.
looking at things, they're looking at Mark's and Lori's stuff that they put out there.
I mean, I'll be honest. I confer with a lot of different people. From different. Uh, I guess you got to understand. 21 years of law enforcement. I had, and I did 7 years of drug task force and had a drug dog for a long time. I have a very big range of people that I talk to from all different walks of life, and I trust some of the people that may have had a troubled past. I trust them just as much as I probably trust an attorney. I mean,
Well, absolutely.
yeah, because everybody sees things from a different walk of life, and everybody's experienced something different, or they've been in a different circle. And
I mean,
it's even like I tried to explain to law enforcement at one point when I was talking to the sheriff, and I've been friends with Dan for years. I explained to him that, when I took a badge off and I don't have a badge on no more, I said, man, it's so much easier to talk to people and to be approached by people and talk to them. I said, the bad part about it is we got to work together to ever solve Harry's crime, because a lot of people are not going to talk to the police just because they got a badge on their shirt.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. That's just something that they won't do. That they're scared of maybe some kind of, being caught up in something or a repercussion for something, when that's, in my perspective, is not the case whatsoever. All I want is information and talk, and I'll talk to you till till I'm blue in the face about stuff, because especially when it comes to Harry, because, it's, I hate to say it, and it sounds kind of weird or bad. I don't know how but it's just like in Harry's case. There are a lot of good people in Albia. I mean, most of the people are great people in Albia.
Yes, our community
But
is.
that night Harry came up missing. The bad took him away. And they may that good person may have the rest of the world fooled that they're a good person. But something bad happened that night, in my opinion, and sometimes it takes people from a different walk of life to find those answers.
Absolutely.
And I said this the whole time I was in law enforcement. I got friends on my Facebook page, I guarantee you would vouch for it. I tried to treat everybody with respect, and I always treated a person with an addiction or a habit, and I told them a million times, you're that same good person. You just need to find a way to get away from that shit so that you can get back to being that good person.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's the drugs or the alcohol or the whatever that screws people all up, and I mean, who's to say that night with Harry? I mean, I don't know. I've heard every rumor, every story,
That
every
that is what I
theory.
was getting ready. Broken
It could be
justice.
from a drug nexus. It could be something to do with drugs. Could be something from drinking too much. Could have been as simple as a disagreement, like the week before. It says right there in his case file, he got in a disagreement with a friend and got in a fight in one of the bars.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but it could have been something just that simple that cost him his life because I've dealt with it on that side before. I mean, I know a guy that's a pretty decent guy. Hey, a little trouble, but pretty decent guy sitting in prison right now. All because a guy grabbed his girlfriend by the butt. He got mad, hit the guy in the nose. The guy fell down, hit his head on the concrete, and died.
Yeah. I mean,
So he's
it
sitting
could
in
have
prison.
been
I
as
mean, it could have been
simple.
something as simple as that. I mean,
Yep, as simple as some guy's girlfriend, uh, maybe Harry pinched her on the butt, or
right.
maybe she was making some kind of pass at Harry and it made,
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know. We
I've
wasn't
heard it.
there.
It could have been all Harry's fault.
Yep.
Everything. I mean, I
Broken
hate to say it,
justice.
but I mean, you're out partying, you're doing things. It's that back in the '80s, people are smoking weed, doing different things. Maybe he did something and overdosed.
Yeah.
And people got scared. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it can be from one extreme to the other. So that's why I say it's all about just little pieces of information and putting everything together.
Broken Justice wants to know if we can talk about a few of the theories that people have claimed
Sure.
happened to Harry.
You've got of course you've got the "I left, I'm still alive" theory.
Yep.
You've got the card game theory, where there was a card game, at the Waterworks bar, where Harry won a considerable amount of money, and the bartender, or not the bar, but the bar owner, took issue with it because he maybe lost a bunch of money. Um, had a history of finding people later and trying to collect their money back. Usually by beating somebody's ass. I mean, um, there's theories of Harry OD'd at a party. And people got scared, didn't know what to do. Young, young and dumb, basically, but young and didn't want to ruin the rest of their life
Yeah.
by maybe being involved or, accused of something that really wasn't their fault, and maybe tried to cover things up. So you've got that, you've got the theories of, which I think was the main one when he first come up missing, of he was drunk, or drinking, I mean, you can tell by the statements he said that he really wasn't drunk, but that he'd been drinking and maybe wrecked his car, went off in a ravine, went off in a pond or whatever. I mean, you get to crazy wazoo theories. Um, you've got the case file. You can look at it, Allison.
Yep.
There,
Um,
there's a there's a
there's
there's a whole theory back when my dad had a $500 reward, of a gal saying that he became a porn star and was in, she saw him in a porn movie in California. I mean,
Jeez.
um, so
Oh
there's
my
it's
goodness.
all about which ones you want to put weight
There
on
was, did you,
and
we
really
didn't,
look at. I mean, there's been the theory that because of his drinking and getting and the grades being bad, that my mom and dad was harping on him like any parent was, of hey, you're failing out of college and you're drinking too much. I've had people call me and tell me, I heard that your dad killed him. I've heard that your mom killed him.
wow.
Those kind of things. So I mean, the theories can be somewhat, you know, from
Yeah.
one extreme to the other too.
One
I mean,
theory is that they put him in a coal train,
yeah,
killed him
there's
and
been
put him in the coal train.
yeah, killed him, threw him off a train bridge into a coal car.
Yep.
There's theories of being put in his car and buried.
Yep.
Put in a semi, hauled out west. I mean, there's a ton of them. And I guess that's kind of the way I've looked at things over time, is trying to narrow that down to some logic, or ones that seem to come up the most. I mean, and I mean, just here of recent, uh, I'll be honest. I mean, I look at this thing all the time and try to look at things and talk to people. Um, Sometimes, I go one direction. Sometimes I go another. I mean, me and Lori, we can argue back and forth about different things, but it seems like there are some common grounds, but it all starts with where was Harry? I mean, where was Harry, and who was he around? And I think it's just back to, like I've tried to say a lot of times, is not pointing any fingers at anybody. I'm just looking at what I do know or what I don't know. I think the more I can focus on finding Harry, then I can focus on what happened to Harry.
Yeah.
I don't know that the what happened is ever going to come before the where.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know which is going to come first. But I do think that the where we find Harry will definitely point back to a certain theory. One of the theories.
Well, I can guarantee you somebody has the answers, and it's going to take that person, and they may not even know they have the answer.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
exactly.
this place right here where the party was that night? Is that where some girls from Bloomfield or something, was this where they were supposed to be that night?
That party would have been like the next night, because it was, of course,
Yes.
July 4th weekend. So you're
Yeah.
looking at Saturday. Saturday night was the 30th. The first was Sunday. Most people didn't work the third or the fourth. I mean, so the way I understand, there was a party there the next night, and that's where Kelly, you know, heard the two girls that were there. He was there up visiting these two girls, and um, heard this story, from a guy, and just thought, what the hell, and didn't even really, he was, I don't know what, I think he says he's like 18, 19, maybe, not even that, and I think uh, didn't really think nothing of it until 35, 36 years later. Me and him had some dealings in Ottumwa, and at some point, once we started up the social media stuff, he saw that and went, "Hey, wait a minute! I was in Albia this weekend. I heard this story involving um, everything that was put out with that. I mean, so um, it just it's coincidence. I mean, I think that's some of the stuff. I mean, you've noticed that
Yeah.
probably yourself, that sometimes you'll engage in a conversation with somebody and they uh, all of a sudden go, well, wait a minute, I know this or I know that,
That just
I met,
happened to me, what, 2 weeks, a week
yeah,
and a half ago.
right, and I mean, same things happened to me multiple times of
Yep.
people saying, I thought you knew this, and it's like,
Yep.
no, I didn't, or I never even thought to talk to you, because I didn't know, I wasn't here. I didn't know who was with who was whose best friend, who was hanging around who, just like the statements there even said, I mean, normally it wouldn't have been Steve Rockwell with these guys. It'd have been Denny Hallring, but that night it was Steve, uh, yeah, these people all put themselves in the story. I just don't know all the other people in this. I'm trying to figure out all the other people that may be in the story too,
Yeah.
innocently. I mean, they're, nobody. I'm not saying they're guilty. I'm just saying it's all innocent. Until we figure out what did happen that night.
Yeah.
And it's all
Well,
about, like I say, it's about keeping the story alive and talking to, um, anybody and everybody, because you just don't know when you're going to hit that one person that may have some key information. I mean, just like when we started the whole group thing, right out of the bat, I've never put it out there before, but I received an anonymous letter right out the gate saying, "Here's where Harry's at,"
yeah.
and I thought everybody knew that,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
and that's um, what I'm trying to do now. I'm gonna start putting, like we're saying, we're just walking our way from the very start. Of what happened that night. Phone call to my mom, to who she talked to these guys' statement. There's more. I mean, we're just gonna start walking through each one of these so that everybody can see them, because then it may trigger somebody else, or they
Yes.
may go, well, I didn't know, I knew this person, and maybe that person, that ain't what this person told me, those type of things. So,
Yep.
uh,
I like when you call it just doing a reset, because that's
yeah,
what we're doing. We have to do that.
I've took the emotion out of it. I mean, that's, it's hard. It was hard to do, and it took a long time to get to that point, I guess, and I can't say there's still emotion, but I'm not trying to look at it. I'm not trying to look at it as a brother looking for a brother. I'm just trying to look at it as like I'd look at any other missing persons case and say, okay, let's start here. Let's
Yep.
start from the beginning of what we know and try to piece things together until we maybe get to an answer.
Broken Justice says, I wonder why they thought it was necessary to get rid of the car. It seems that would be harder for them to hide. The car is just so baffling to me.
Well, I mean, and yeah, I don't understand that either. It's like they say, only 2% of missing persons that go missing with their car are not, the car's not found.
Yeah.
And that's what's really baffling. Because like I say, 9 times out of 10 they do find the car.
Yep.
And they then maybe they were smart in this case, because a lot of times, it can be the evidence that's inside that car creates suspects.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just like, I mean, that's one of the things I've worked on before, and we had on here before. I mean, uh, whose car was Harry in?
yeah.
Was he in Steve's? Was he in Harry's? Was he in Jeff's? Was he with Doug? I mean, was he walking? Was he, I don't know. Was the car left there that night? I mean, and got the next morning? Is there, I mean, there's a million different things, and it's like, maybe they were smart by getting rid of the car. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
So
this is,
far, it seems to be smart, but it also, like they're saying, that's the odd thing, because yeah, that's hard to get rid of. That's hard to
yeah,
hide.
very. Yeah. Well, this is where Harry was supposed to have been parked, right?
Yep.
And wasn't it Adler that said when they got, he dropped him off, he went northbound, right?
Right. Which would have been
This
yep.
way.
Yep. Would have been up the street there and took a left.
Right. Well, right here. And
Yep.
then he would go this
And,
way.
and everybody, right where you're at about right now,
Is
that's the bar.
the waterworks bar. And
Yeah,
this is
right
the
there in
alleyway.
the back door.
Well,
Yeah,
the alleyway is
the
right
alley, you
here.
can go down through the alley and then go back to the north. But the back door, if you go back up the street and turn that left, when you get to about the middle of that building is where the back door of the waterworks was. And
Right
for the
here.
most part, back then, everybody went through that door. You didn't go through the door out here on the main street. You went through the back door.
Yep. And then he would have went north to Avery, right?
That's what Harry would have went north, but
Yes.
Jeff said he went north, then he went back to the east, and when he got to Main Street there where your cursor is, he went back to the north, or he went back to the south.
To the south, yeah.
Yeah, and met Harry coming north.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I'm just going to show on here where Harry lived, his house, like going from, going all the way.
Sure.
And okay, you're going to keep going. Oh, this is not going to be good trying to, okay.
Trying to get it to scroll.
Yeah.
There's the underpass that Doug Matty said he saw him go under.
Yep. And then, is it not going to let me go anymore? Maybe not. Or yeah, it will. It has to.
supposed to.
There. So this would be like going to Des Moines, and this would be heading towards Avery.
Right.
And so, come on. Why is this not working? There's my store.
Yeah.
So, and it's, bear with me, people. Bear with me. Mark, don't you laugh at me and make fun of me.
I'm gonna take a break real quick, and I'll be
You
right
go
back.
ahead.
I've had too much soda, so I'll let you walk them through this while I go do that.
Okay, so he's going to continue going on Highway 137. And I'll show you guys the pond that Chaos Divers dove to check for Harry. Okay, and then he would take a right. I don't know why that magnified up. And he would go, or wait a minute, did I, hold on here. Yeah, I went the wrong way. It's up here further. No, it's not. It's hard to look at these maps and see where I'm at. I drive this all the time, but to look at, that's, okay, yeah, I was right. Okay, so then this is the Avery Highway.
I'm answering somebody's question.
Hey, Lori, I hear you.
She said she's answering somebody's question. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I'm not looking at chat yet, guys.
I say, yeah,
I want to wait a second here. Right here's the pond that Chaos Divers dove. Because if you look, people thought, well, maybe he ran around this curve and ended up in that pond, but he was not there.
That pond's been searched 3 or 4 times now, and it's going to
Yeah.
get probably searched again. I'm going to guess. But
Really?
Yeah. Just to be sure.
Yeah.
Like now, like I say, Chaos Divers. While you're going through here, Chaos Divers, they're planning on coming back. I believe, in sometime in the March time frame.
Yeah.
To try to get some of these ponds right after the thaw, so that there's not any so there's no vegetation. And take a look. I mean, some of them we may do again. I know like I said, I'm working on a deal with a probability guy. I guess is the easiest way to explain it. But that's what he does. He's special. He's actually found, I think, 8 people himself with some of the stuff that he does. Works mostly out of like New York area and up in that
really
kind of the northeast corner of the country. So working on putting that together, I mean, to see, okay, is there any other bodies of water that maybe we've missed or that we need to go back to and take a second look?
Yeah.
I know with Jacob and Lindsay, they're never, that's one thing with them. They never get offended or anything with anything I say or do as far as searching stuff. If I think, if I say, hey, I'd kind of like to go back here and just look again, I know they'd do it, and they've looked over places where, other people have DNR searched, and it's no, whoop, you went too far.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah,
right there, right before the
right
track.
there is where Harry and Mark grew up. That was their home. Yep.
And like I say, they're gonna search a bunch of other stuff. It's all about, I mean, I think Jacob and Lindsay are both really good about that too. They have their own theories. They take their own looks at things and say, hey, what if he went this way? What if he was going to this friend's, or what if he was going here? Look at this corner. Look at this corner. And then like this other guy that I'm working with a little bit, just getting started with, he really goes to some extremes of looking at, high probability areas of going, and then looks at the weather uh, during that time frame, like when Harry came up missing.
Yeah,
To see,
yeah.
okay, did we have a big rainfall? Did we have, something, where water would have been high, or where if he went off in this creek bank, maybe it ended up farther down than what you think, or maybe it's, setting in a certain spot to where people just haven't seen it yet.
Mark, do you remember that young kid? Well, he wasn't that young, but that guy that was coming from La Villa, and like the La Villa, or not, yeah, the La Villa highway there on Highway 5.
Yep.
And where it goes off to 137 right in front of John Deere.
Yep.
That guy was missing for a week, and they found that car in that embankment.
Yep.
It took
and
him a
nobody had
week.
seen it for a week.
Yes.
Probably hundreds and hundreds of people drove by it and never saw it.
I did. I drove by it every day to go to work.
So I mean, there's a lot of, and that's, I mean, that's kind of, and I know, the guy I'm talking to, he also works with, or we're communicating with chaos divers and everything as far as, trying to, so everybody's on the same page. So when they come back here, we can go look at these places, go search, go, walk a creek bank if we have to, or go do all these, all these other places. And like I said before, first of all, yeah, it would make my day to say, boom, we found him. He's in this body of water right here, or this creek bank or whatever. And all these other rumors can be just gone. Here's what happened. But if we don't, it's still back to that same thing of we know where he's not, so we know, okay, if we went through all of this, now we either need to expand that circle out farther, or start looking at other theories to say, we've pretty much ruled out accident, I mean, at least in the general area, I mean, so, yeah, it's back to that thing. If people know somebody, one big thing that I'm looking for is people that were around Harry at that time, whether it be classmates, people that he worked with, friends, anybody, to try and not to, I'm not trying to put people in his story or anything like that, but I'm just looking for who were all the places where he associated, where was he going on a regular basis, those type of things, did they see him in La Villa a lot? Did they see him in, Melrose or wherever a lot, going to some place, or, a girlfriend, some people say, he had a date on Friday night. I still have never figured that out. I mean, some things like that to see, okay, are we looking in the wrong places? I mean, do we need to refocus and look over here versus here? So if there's, any of those people out there that, just want to help and can say, hey, this is what I know or what I remember of, where I seen him and where he was at and what he was doing and stuff, the week, the month, before, all of that helps, send me a message and, we can talk and go from there. It's just trying to draw that big picture. You must be muted again.
Yes, I was. Anyways, Broken Justice.
Crickets.
He said this case is a hard case to put down. You just once you see, you can't unsee it. You just can't get it out of your mind. And
nobody, that's one thing. Nobody's theory is wrong at this point. Yeah. Are there some I think, in my mind are more likely than others? Yeah, but nobody's theories, even if you see something or think something that we haven't talked about here, get a hold of me and say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Or what about that? I mean, we're willing, I'm willing, we're willing to listen to about everything just to, try to isolate one or the other, I mean, that's all it's about.
Exactly. And,
it's just like getting a story out. I mean, I know I know you don't know, but actually, I mean, I'm going to do another podcast actually on Thursday night.
Oh, good.
I don't know if you're familiar. I don't know. Do you know Ken also?
No.
He's from Oskaloosa here. Him and his wife have owned the newspaper, and I mean all
Are they on Facebook?
Yeah, they're on Facebook. But I think they own I don't want to misquote.
Hey,
I know they had like the Oski paper and they do all the coverage for Oskaloosa, like William Penn and all that stuff. Apparently last year, Ken was at the first event that we had, interviewed me and we talked quite a bit. He kind of wanted to do a different type of story then, but we just never really got around to it. He got a hold of me the other day. He's been doing a podcast here in Oskaloosa called.
Is it on YouTube then?
Yeah, his is called the Whiskey Friends.
Okay.
The Whiskey Friends.
Okay.
He said it started out as just a few guys that he sat down with. They did short little podcasts and sampled whiskey and gave their opinions.
Oh hell, I wouldn't be able to do anything if I sampled whiskey.
And now he's kind of progressing along. He's been doing it for I think a year now, and he really started out with wanting to do kind of a points of interest type stories. I mean special interest type stories, and so he got a hold of me the other day and said, "Hey, I really haven't got to that point yet, but I'd like to get to there." And he said, "I'd like to start with getting Harry's story out."
Yeah.
So we're gonna sit down Thursday night at like 6:00. I think I'll share it on the page when.
Oh, that's amazing.
Get everything done, just to and it's basically like I said. He said normally he gets maybe 3,000 viewers or whatever whenever he does. So
you said the Whiskey Friends.
Yeah, it's called the Whiskey Friends. Yeah, I'll say here. Let me see if I can.
Yeah. Hey, James Cole said.
I just sent it to you. So.
Okay. James Cole said Jacob and Lindsay don't have the words "I quit" in their vocabulary.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, them two are, between Jacob, Lindsay, and Eric, them guys are on the go and they don't stop. I mean,
they're just awesome.
They barely take enough time out of what they're doing for their own lives.
Lindsay's birthday's today, isn't it?
Lindsay's birthday today. So
yeah, happy birthday, Lindsay.
It's her birthday. She got to put up with Jake somewhere, I'm sure. So, so I mean, yeah, they don't quit, and they've told me that they will, continue to come back here. If you guys haven't seen the video that we posted on the site, you can go see it on their site, on YouTube or their Facebook, or I share everything of theirs, that relates to Harry on the Harry page. They're going to do a series of, I think I talked to Jacob the other night. And he said there's going to be a total of 3 or 4 more of the videos like the one they just put out.
I'm gonna
covering all the, they're covering all the searches, and there's going to be a lot of, I guess I should warn everybody. There's probably going to be a lot of uncensored conversation when I was with them, at least out on the boat and doing the things that we were doing. So there's going to be a lot of interesting and uncensored conversation that goes on.
That'll be good. Hey, I posted the Whiskey Friends in the chat, and I also posted Chaos Divers video that they did on Harry the other day. So it's posted.
Yeah, I like to say that video, I mean, it'll show you how hard they work. I mean,
they do.
Them guys, we, like I said, and the people that helped, I mean, the property owners that we went to, in that first video, you covered several different properties, Cade Comstock's helping,
he's
Maddie's,
such a good guy.
Maddie was helping when they went there, I mean, everybody was helpful. Everybody was decent. Everybody wanted to just clear things up, and that's all I can ask. I appreciate all of that. I appreciate everything that everybody's done. I thank everybody. I can't do it personally to every single person. If I see you, I'll tell you thanks for anything that you've done. I try to, on a regular basis, put out my thanks on the site for for everybody just even paying attention to the site and keeping
Yeah.
Harry alive in spirit, and keeping his story out there until someday we talk about how it ended.
Yeah. And the next time we do a video, like I said, we'll go over the timeline, and we're going to go over some more of the case file.
And I will start getting, like I said that before, and I did get it done. I will start posting these on the site. I'm not gonna, people can comment whatever, as long as everybody keeps it, reasonable, just constructive conversation, and questions, answers, whatever. The one thing I will say is, I'm not gonna put a big comment on what they are. You can tell what they are, but I mean, the biggest thing is, if you have a comment or a question for me personally, try to make sure that you at least tag me in it. I don't see them all the time, just like Messenger. I mean, I know there's some people out there I probably owe some apologies to, that reach out to me on occasion, and I may be at work, and I'll look at the message and think, oh, I can't do it right now, but I'll get back to them tonight, and then by the time I get back to my phone, there's 10 other messages, and it kind of gets swept away.
Yep.
Every once in a while I try to go back through and catch up and answer them all, and make sure that I respond to everything. But
well, just keep reaching out to him. If he doesn't respond, send him another message.
Yeah, if I don't answer you back within a day or so, and you sent me something and you seen, just like Messenger, if you seen that I looked at it, hit me right back and say, hey, did you get that? Because sometimes it just might be life. Life goes on. I got a lot of stuff to do. I work every day, and especially like this winter, coming up now, it's when the snow starts flying, I really start going to work.
And not to mention, it's football season.
Yeah, on Sundays, I can tell you right now, if the Vikings are playing, you're probably not going to get me to answer you, at least until an hour or so after the game.
Oh,
after halftime, I don't talk to Lori until it's over. So.
Okay, well, I think, is there anything else you wanted to say, Mark? Or
other than the same thing, thanks to everybody. I appreciate all the input. Same thing to you and Jim. Thank you guys. Allison's still got shirts at her shop.
Yeah.
If you want one, I don't care if you don't have to donate a dime. If you only donate a dime, it don't make a difference. Yes. They're out there. They're these shirts, like I've got on right now. They're walking billboards. Go get one. Yep. I mean, we don't have a lot of the, like XXX, XXX left, but I know there's, from extra large on down, there's still quite a few at your shop, and I think I've still got a box of them here. We got more.
I need to go through and see how many. I know I had some smalls and mediums. I don't know if I'll look tomorrow if I have any larges or.
Let me know if you got any. If you got a size that you're out of or need some more of. I think I've still got a few left in here of about every size. Small to extra large. We'll get you them, and all I want is them out there so that it's a walking billboard. I mean, so people continue to talk, continue to ask questions. If you agree, disagree with me or whatever, and you want to talk to me, reach out. I'll talk to anybody about Harry and what their opinion is at any time. I mean.
Yeah. James says, with Harry possibly being in a lake or a river, how bad did the floods of '93 get? They were awful.
They were terrible here. I mean, yeah. Yes. I mean, you could have. I mean, I'm sure that like say if a car was in a river, or a body of water that had a lot of flow through it. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like this guy I'm working with. That's one of the things he looks at a lot is the weather patterns at the time and over the years to try to look for a lot of anomalies in different places.
That's amazing.
Wait a minute, there's something here all of a sudden changed. What caused it to change, and those type of things. And I mean, this guy's, he's quicker than I am. I wish I could keep up with him a little better right now.
That's amazing that he's doing this.
But I mean, he's, like in his case, he's breaking it down quadrant by quadrant by quadrant of Wapello or of Monroe County, and looking at maps and everything. I mean, that's why I say, I want to try to figure out what was going on in Harry's life at that time. Who was he associating with, hanging around? So we can plot that all on a map, to say, okay, here's a friend, and how often did he go there? Here's a friend, how often did he go there? And is there a friend over here that we didn't know? All of a sudden that, okay, wait a minute, now he's going a whole different direction than what we ever thought to even look. I mean, so
well,
any kind of help like that, would be great. I mean, somebody out there knows, who he got in a fight with the weekend before apparently over a basketball game. Somebody's got to know people got to know who he got in a fight with. It's not a matter of anything. It's just a matter of who, I mean, it's trying to figure out, okay, different things that could be possibilities. Did he have a date on Friday night? Who the heck was that? I mean, I wasn't here. I don't know. Unfortunately at the time I was in California. So
there's so many times I wish I was in the DeLorean Back to the Future and could go back to,
Yeah, and it's even that. Even when I came home, back in '84, you wish you had the knowledge and the sense that you have now at 57 versus 18. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a clue. Run around, drive roads, see if I could find him, maybe ask people, ask some questions and different things. But, I didn't have a clue. Hell, I was a damn kid that didn't know anything. Hell, I was just, figuring life out itself in the Marine Corps, let alone, what do you do when a family member comes up missing? So, I mean, it'd be so nice if you could, jump in that time machine and say, okay, I'm going to go back knowing what I know now. And it's been a whole different ball game, and I mean, I just, it's sad to think that, some of the cause I think of not having answers to Harry is not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just that missing adults were never looked at like they should be. Not then, and I still don't think they are now. Now if you're a kid, under the age of 18, it becomes national news in a blink. But when you're just average Joe 21-year-old male, nobody they try to look at the obvious, and then when they don't find what they think is the obvious, it goes unnoticed from that point on. I can attest for a couple families that I know personally now that I think that's exactly the case. And it's sad to think in a day that we have now where technology's the way it is. I mean, now, cell phones and cameras and all that good stuff, you would think it would be easy, but it's all back again to, who is it important to?
I'm putting in the chat, Dateline actually did a TikTok on Harry. So I posted that in the chat for anybody that wants to go look at that, and make sure you read the comments. A lot of people, I read comments on everything, and sometimes it helps me to put.
And if something like that, if somebody sees a comment in one of these older, podcasts, or even say the missing person clearinghouse or something like that, that's of interest, send it to me, screenshot it, send it to me or whatever, because I can't check them all the time. I mean, some get brought to my attention and it's like, oh, wait a minute. That's, I mean, there was a weird one here just, a while back on one of them about millionaires in Monroe
That was
County.
that was
an odd, I mean, it sounds like an odd comment, I don't know if it's just somebody, doing whatever, but I mean, it's just, if you see something that's maybe interesting or whatever, let me know so that, maybe we can look into it or pass it on to law enforcement to look into.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of, like I said, looking at everything. I need to start sharing a bunch of those links on the page and maybe putting some of the older stuff back up so that all the people that have, come to the site from Chaos Divers, from your YouTube, from everybody's different, sites, can kind of get up to speed or see what's going on and not be, you know, in the dark. I don't want anybody in the dark. I want everybody to, you know, be looking to maybe get to the light, you know.
Yep. What's happened in the dark will come to light. It'll be
Yep.
brought to the light.
One of these days it will.
Yes, it will. Well, I think we are done. When are we going to do the next one? Do you want to do it next week or the following week? It does not matter to me.
What do we got coming up on? I think we could probably do another one next week if you want.
Okay. Yep, we can do it.
And then we'll kind of skip the Christmas New Year little section and then start over once the
so
new
how
year.
about Tuesday then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep. Tuesdays is always a pretty good night for me. There ain't no football, so
yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody in the chat and everybody that's not in the chat and that's listening. I thank my mods. I thank you and Lori, and let's bring Harry home.
Yep, that's all we can ask.
Yep.
I appreciate everybody, and if you need to get a hold of me, like I said, all you gotta do is send me a message. I will get back to you at some point.
And he will, I promise. Yep. And if he doesn't,
I try to answer everybody.
Yes. Well, thanks. You get some sleep because I don't know. Are we supposed to get some snow?
They're talking about maybe some ice. I mean,
ice?
Maybe some rain or something, but hopefully that all stays north for now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just know it's supposed to be colder and crap. So
it already is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell. All righty. I appreciate it, Allison. Thank you, and thanks everybody.
Bye, Lori.
Bye, Allison.
I'll see you guys later.
All
Good night, everybody in the chat. Bye.
Bye.